Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 7-5 offsuit, but he's up against the greatest of all time, Phil Ivey, whose cards we don't see yet. Daniel limps from the button, a play you almost never see at these high levels, because you open yourself up to a stealing raise that you can't really call, but his opponents already know that, so I'm guessing they think he's trying to trap them with a monster hand like pocket aces.
Maria has checked her option. We're going three-way to the flop.
The flop gives Negreanu an open-ended straight draw, but with Phil limping and Maria Ho checking pre-flop, there's a lot of hands in their ranges like suited hearts, small sets, and two-pair combos that connect here. If either of them decides to push, Daniel's draw could get pretty expensive. This bet by Phil doesn't give away much. He's the kind of player who'll fire here whether he's got top pair, a monster draw, or complete air. A flop bet like this is more about taking control rather than showing actual strength. Negreanu was feeling somewhat okay in position here, so he decides to see what move Ivey will make on the turn.
Daniel does call. The turn card is a 7. Phil checks.
I think we should probably just check.
Daniel does bet. And what's Phil thinking?
He's thinking, what's this guy got? What's this guy over here got? Who does he got me beat?
Oh, Phil's check raised.
A line like this usually represents real strength, but against someone like Ivey, it can just as easily be a well-timed bluff meant to put Daniel in the blender.
Seconds left to make a decision. He elects to call.
Like there was ever any doubt what Daniel was going to do.
The river card is the 7 of hearts. Trips for Daniel, but it does put a potential flush out there.
Ivey limped pre-flop, fired a bet on a heart-heavy flop, then check-raised the turn. That line is consistent with a flush draw or a pocket pair of 4s or 6s, which now gives him a full house.
And there's a bet from Phil.
Full house? You got queen 7? I don't think I can fold it.
Daniel calls.
Ace queen.
Phil claims to have ace queen, but he doesn't.
Negreanu is holding pocket 5s and he's raising to 95,000. He's up against the legends Tom Dwan with pocket 9s and Phil Ivey with pocket 10s.
Over to Tom Dwan.
That's not a hand Dwan would fold, not against Daniel, and definitely not in a $250,000 buy-in. Tom looks like he's thinking, I'm pretty sure he shouldn't flat and trap, but rather crank up the pressure early.
Dwan has just made a call with pocket 9s. Perhaps at another time he might have raised. Oh, check this out. Phil Ivey's picked up pocket 10s.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised.
Just called.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by the flat call from Phil. It's usually a spot where you'd like to squeeze, especially the fact that he's on the button. It's going to look pretty fishy and quite possibly have someone play back at him.
Mike Haxton folds.
The flop comes 3 queen 6, 2 spades. Negreanu opened with pocket 5s, whiffed the flop completely, and now he's first to act on this board, with Dwan and Ivey behind him, who are not exactly known for playing nice when they smell weakness.
Misses all of them. A check from Daniel. This will be interesting.
I don't think any of the three of them are going to be too thrilled with that flop, to be honest. Queen's certainly in the calling range of Tom and Phil. Hands like King Queen, Ace Queen. I expect Phil will just check this back as well.
Phil does. We'll see a turn.
The turn is the 4 of clubs, and things are starting to line up for some sneaky draws. No one took a stab on the flop, which means this pot's still up for grabs, and Negreanu knows it.
And given the fact that he was a pre-flop aggressor, both players have checked back the flop.
He does take a stab.
Dwan isn't just thinking about his cards. He's scanning Daniel and Phil like he's picking up frequencies. These guys are playing poker on a different level. Every glance, every pause, every chip toss. There's a language here only the elite understand, and Dwan is fluent.
I think Tom is more than happy to peel one here with 9s. He's got to assume that Daniel's going to bet a queen on the flop there.
Well, he's got his eye on both Daniel and Phil, looking across the table to both players, and he smooth calls here. So round to Phil Ivey, and this is a tough spot.
Even though he does have the best hand, it's probably correct to fold.
Yeah, well, Phil Ivey kind of stuck there. Tom Dwan now eyes only on Daniel Negreanu, and the river's a 2 of hearts.
And Daniel gets there.
Oh, Daniel checking. He's going to try and trap him. And look at this, it might work. Dwan reaching for chips.
Check.
Oh, wow, Tom Dwan checks. Daniel not happy.
I don't bet my friends, you know? I don't bet my friends.
Wow, Dwan's really relieved.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 6-5 offsuit, but he's up against his nemesis of 20 years, Phil Ivey, who's holding King Jack suited. Ivey raises to 75,000. Most players would probably fold in Daniel's spot.
No choice, can't fold it. Gotta see a flop in the big blind.
There's the call. So it's Daniel versus Phil.
Ivey is 64% favorite for now, but the flop comes 8-6-6 and Negreanu hits trips.
Eight
Check.
of hearts.
I don't see Phil falling for this.
Phil checks too. I don't know how, but he can somehow feel Daniel is strong here.
A king on the turn.
Now I see him falling for it a little.
Negreanu wants Phil second-guessing every assumption. Wants him trapped between is he bluffing and is he setting me up? What looks like hesitation is actually misdirection. This is less about cards, more about control.
Daniel leads. Phil now with top pair.
Even if you think Daniel has a 6, you can't just go folding top pair.
Negreanu's sizing here leaves Ivey about 3.5 to 1 on a call. And with top pair, that's usually a no-brainer. But what Daniel's really doing here is laying the groundwork for the river. He's planting the seed that says, if you call now, you're going to have to call big later. This is psychological compounding. Pressure applied in stages. Daniel is hoping that Phil did indeed hit that king on the turn, and he's going to try to make him sweat like a maniac.
He calls. The river is a jack.
Wow, Daniel is running better than Prefontaine.
Daniel value bets his trips. Phil forced to call with top 2.
Nope.
So obvious you have a 6. Got 350.
Trip sixes. Phil shows king jack for top 2. Daniel's trip sixes take the pot.
Good call, good call. Good thing you didn't raise. That was smart. You know what you're doing.
Phil Ivey is looking down at 10-9 offsuit, but he's up against Doug Polk, who's raised to 55,000 with ace-4 offsuit. Ivey makes the call, and even though this is not the best hand to call out of position with, against an aggressive opponent like Polk, Ivey knows there's value in keeping his range wide. It makes him tougher to read and sets up opportunities to pick off bluffs later. Ivey flops top pair on a relatively dry board, but against Polk's wide raising range, it's not a hand he's looking to blow the pot up with right away. Top pair with a medium kicker plays best as a pot control hand, letting Polk keep betting with his bluffs and weaker holdings. By not overplaying it, Ivey keeps his range balanced and gives himself room to navigate later streets.
Behind Ivey, the turn, a 2 of hearts. Action on Phil.
Betting 75.
75,000, just a little over half of the pot.
This bet by Ivey serves 2 purposes. It protects his top pair from giving a free card to potential overcards or backdoor draws, and it also reclaims the betting lead to control the pace of the hand. Against someone like Polk, it's also a subtle way to induce, giving him room to turn a marginal hand or complete air into a bluff.
Call.
Makes the call, in position.
Against a player like Ivey, Polk knows this turn bet could easily be a stab with missed overcards or complete air after the flop check through. By calling, Polk keeps Ivey's bluffs in play, sets himself up to potentially take the pot away on the river, and makes sure he's not getting run over in position.
The river is a 6 of clubs, so Ivey's pair of 10s are best. Action is on Phil.
Can't really bet too much. Always bet the pot.
Betting 200.
You're right, Joe.
580,000.
Raised to 580.
Wow, this is a surprise. He's made a raise here.
Do you think this was a good time to bluff for Doug Polk? Let me know down in the comments.
There it is. He makes the call, so he will win a big pot. He almost looked a bit surprised there.
Negreanu picks up Jack-4 suited, a hand most of us will fold, but Negreanu opens light to attack the straddle money, and Williams just flats with kings, which is a great slow play in this lineup. By not squeezing, he keeps the weaker parts of Negreanu's range in, lets the third player come along with dominated hands, and hides the real strength of his holding. On a jack-high flop, the initiative flips to pure range advantage. Negreanu has all the top pair junk kickers, all the jacks from his open, and tons of c-bet candidates. His small bet is value and protection at the same time. He wants folds from underpairs and worse broadways while still keeping dominated jacks in the pot. Williams springs the trap with a raise that does 2 jobs. It inflates the pot against the exact hands he's targeting, top pair worse kicker, and it taxes the draws and gutters that would love a cheap turn. The sizing is clever, big enough to deny, small enough to keep Negreanu attached with his 1-pair hands. Negreanu's call is the disciplined answer. If he 3-bets, he isolates himself versus sets and overpairs. By calling, he controls the pot, keeps bluffs alive, and forces Williams to keep telling a story on later streets. The turn pairs Negreanu, and that changes everything.
This is such a dirty card. I mean, who can really put someone on Jack-4?
Jack-4 goes from bluff catcher to a genuine value hand that beats the most common part of Williams's line, which is exactly the overpairs that raise flop and barrel turn. When Williams continues with a confident bet, his range is face-up strong but capped below sets because of the pre-flop flat.
I'm all in.
Negreanu's shove is surgical. It denies the river to kings and queens. It charges every nut flush draw or combo draw that decided to keep pressing, and it leverages fold equity against hands that hate calling off, but also hate folding. Precisely the overpairs that Slow played pre. If he only calls, he lets every overcard, counterfeit, or backdoor scare card complicate the river, and he gives Williams a free shot. Jamming sets the price now and punishes the trap.
Which is it?
50, 74, 59, 80. Call? Once or twice?
Okay, we want to see hands first or no?
Well, I don't care. I'll do twice either way.
I'll do twice.
First river card is a jack.
Oh, that's it. That's a good one for me.
The second river is a 7.
Negreanu is looking down on Jack 10 suited. Lichtenberger opens the hijack and both stacks behind are deep, so the pre-flop incentives matter. With aces, raising to 45K keeps in dominated broadways and pairs while leaving room to play streets post-flop instead of taking a huge 4-bet pot this close to the business end of a major event. Negreanu flats the cutoff with Jack 10 suited. Against a competent hijack opener and a sticky big blind, that hand prints by realizing equity rather than trying to 3-bet. If he 3-bets, he invites a 4-bet from value, folds out the weaker stuff he dominates, and risks playing a bloated pot with a hand that prefers multi-way, position, and disguised equity. D bleeds into 2 players. With top pair and a backdoor club, he denies overcards a free look and sets the price on a texture that can change quickly. Lichtenberger just calls with aces. That's deliberate, raising polarizes him on a wet board and risks pushing out Negreanu's dominated continues. With the ace of clubs, he blocks the nut flush, so he doesn't fear as many bad turns and can keep ranges wide. Negreanu's call with Jack 10 is standard. He has the clean open-ender to the nuts, excellent position, and 2 opponents who will pay him off if he hits. Turning this into a raise would fold out worse and isolate against the top of range. The 7 of clubs hits, and Negreanu picks up the straight at the same time the front door flush completes. Lichtenberger checks as well, which keeps his range disguised and preserves the option to spring a check raise. With aces that include the ace of clubs, he can induce a bet, choose between calling and jamming, and if he is behind, he carries 9 outs to the nuts. Negreanu fires 295K to tax everything at once. The bet extracts from 2 pairs and sets that fear a 4th club, charges single club overpairs that refuse to fold, and denies a cheap river to ace of clubs holdings that would love a free card. The sizing is intentional because it sets up a straightforward stack-off versus a check raise, and avoids giving a volatile river the chance to undo his equity lead.
Feeling comfortable right now. See? You can tell by my energy. Relaxed. What does that usually mean? Huh? What? Dang! As soon as I start yapping, he goes in. Oh, man.
Imagine that you are so good with the mind games that you can induce an all-in shove with just some yapping.
It's tough decision. I'm gonna need a minute.
While we wait for Negreanu to make his decision, please give this video a like. Thank you.
Because you check the turn. I guess you do that with the ace-high flush, right? Well, you have to have it. I don't think I can fold, though. Nice hand, bro.
This part here was inaudible, but you can clearly see that he is saying deuce of hearts a few times.
Called the deuce of hearts. Were you hearing me saying deuce of hearts?
Daniel Negreanu kicks things off with Queen Jack offsuit. He is raised to $2,800, but is up against Tony G with Ace King offsuit.
Action folds over to Tony G, who makes the call.
2 strong hands going into the flop.
Queen 6 Jack.
King of the world.
Check by Tony G.
Tony G's missed. Daniel's gonna fire with top 2.
Bets 5,500.
Tony G knows Negreanu would bet this flop even if he had nothing, but he decides not to go for a semi-bluff raise, and instead, he floats, letting Daniel tell his tale while he quietly waits for something on the turn.
Tony has 2 overcards, even though they're no good. He's really only looking for a 10 to make a gut shot.
There it is.
Tony G tries to keep a poker face as he just hit his straight. He knows Daniel Negreanu is the best of all time at reading people. This is a critical moment to let Daniel continue building the pot. He checks, letting Daniel think 2 pair is the best hand here. Tony is in total control right now, patiently waiting for the right time to make his next raise get called.
Daniel bets 14 grand. A raise to 50,000 by Tony G.
A quick raise of 50,000. Tony's the kind of player that could be doing this with a worse 2 pair. He could be doing it with a draw. He could be doing it with flat out nothing, but a raise that big, that fast, usually means only one of 2 things, a monster hand or a monster bluff.
Daniel makes the call.
Tony using his hand to keep his mouth closed because it's probably watering right now.
The river gives Daniel a full house.
These 2 have been playing against each other at the highest level for 3 decades.
Tony checks.
Negreanu knows Tony has a straight, as you will see in his prediction at the end. He's not worried about being beaten here. He's just doing the math now. What's the number Tony G can't resist calling here?
Bet 80.
Negreanu makes it 80,000 to go. Snap call from Tony.
Negreanu shows him the bad news, hands him the keys of the city.
You had ace king.
Yep. Well done, Daniel. Well done.
Played it good.
Nice dealer.
Sorry, Tony, you played it good.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 10-7 offsuit, but Seaver has raised to $1,300 with pocket fives, and Hashem has called with Jack-10 suited.
Uh-oh, this is Daniel's favorite hand, and it's actually gotten him into trouble in the big game before.
Re-raises on the button to 5,200.
He knows Seaver's range is wide and Hashem's flat is vulnerable. Even though it's his favorite hand, he's trying to play the players, not the cards. This raise is about letting them know that he's going to give them a hard time this hand if they decide to play along.
Scott Seaver is really hoping Daniel has an overpair so that he has the right implied odds to make this call.
Hashem folded, so heads up to the flop. King, deuce, queen. Seaver checks the best hand.
Negreanu knows Seaver could easily have king-queen here after raising and then calling Daniel's re-raise pre-flop. But why would he check? Daniel smells weakness, and that's usually when he gets curious.
He reps, betting 6,200.
Looks like Scott's gonna peel.
He calls.
Hashem wants his cards back.
6 of spades on the turn. Seaver checks.
Daniel still got just 10 high. This is one of the dangers of having a favorite hand.
Daniel does not look like he's about to check. After just calling the flop and checking the turn, Negreanu is probably putting Seaver on a draw or the weak pocket pair he does indeed have. He's thinking, if I apply the right pressure now, Seaver might just fold and give me all the money.
Daniel does fire that third barrel, making it 14,200 to go.
I could justify Scott's call on the flop, thinking maybe Daniel would shut down after one bet, but Daniel certainly hasn't shut down.
Seaver keeps it going. He calls.
Seaver's totally stationing Negreanu.
You mean like a calling station?
Exactly.
4 clubs on the river. Seaver checks.
Sick.
Daniel fires 36,000.
Seaver is capped, checked every street, and never repped strength. Daniel has nothing, but he knows Seaver is weak enough to fold. This is a masterclass.
Folds the winner.
Phew-wee. You had me staring. I had my favorite hand. You know what that is?
10-7?
7 of diamonds and 10 of clubs specifically. Can't believe I got away with a bluff.
Daniel Negreanu looks down to King-10 offsuit, a hand with decent equity in a four-way pot. Against him is Elizabeth Houston, who opens to a Queen-Jack offsuit. Let's see who will the poker gods bless this time.
See that? Cheap flop.
Reynolds folds.
Also makes it easier to call this 3-bet from Tony G.
He raises to 2,000. Queen Jack for the cannon. She calls out of position. So does Daniel.
And like that, Williams built himself his own little pot odds.
He calls too. 4-person party to the flop.
The flop comes 8 Queen Jack Rainbow, which is perfect for Houston. She is looking at top 2 pair with no danger of a flush and only a potential straight or a pocket pair being in her way. Her odds look great, but I think she should have bet harder before Negreanu had a chance to see more of the community cards.
I fold.
Thank you, William.
With the bet sizing being insufficient, even Tony G with his mid pair of jacks that have 2% equity will make the call. The turn delivers the 4 of spades. Things couldn't have been better for Houston. Pocket 4s would have probably folded, same as the pocket 6s from earlier, but she is still afraid of the flush and straight draw. That's why she fires a bet for a bit over half the pot, which I think will be yet again not enough to get Negreanu off his hand.
Daniel's checking out her stack, knowing she probably has something strong enough to lose it all if he does make the nuts.
Negreanu casually calls her $15,000 bet as predicted. But at least Tony G and his adventuristic jacks are gone. Now let's see what the turn will bring for Negreanu. And it is the ace. What a cooler this will be at the end.
That's Daniel's gin card, and this could get ugly for the cannon. I expect her to bet here.
Now she checks.
Somehow she knew to slow down. Daniel's got the nuts. Let's see how much he thinks she'll pay off.
50.
If Elizabeth has watched this show at all, she would know Daniel doesn't bluff raise the river very often. No one does.
If Elizabeth makes this call, she'll have less than 30,000 remaining in her stack.
Call.
Ouch.
She sees it.
Damn it.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down on King Deuce suited, but he's up against Tarhanovs with pocket jacks and tie heart with ace 9 suited. Tarhanovs is playing from the cutoff. From this seat, you can raise a wider mix of hands because fewer players are left to act. Jacks are still ahead of most calling hands in the blinds, but like all medium-high pairs, they're pretty scared of seeing an overcard on the flop. Against a late position open, suited aces are often ahead of a lot of hands. Even though he's out of position, he's still got the kind of hand that can flop big, and that's enough to justify seeing a flop.
Here, take it. Take whatever you want. I just don't fold. It's so boring to fold, so I decided no more folding.
Negreanu calls from the big blind with a pretty questionable hand, but he's getting a bit over 5-to-1 pot odds, which is pretty decent to check out the flop and see if he gets lucky. He uses his signature yapping technique to try to confuse his opponents and maybe fish out some information.
You never know what you might hit. I don't know what I have yet. We'll see. I'll tell you what I have after the flop.
The flop comes 7-king-9 all spades, and Negreanu has the best hand right now, but Tarhanov's is still in the lead.
Check to that guy. He's one to raise. What are you looking at me for? I'm not going to bet.
This is one of those spots where Tarhanov's can put serious pressure on both opponents, knowing he's got strong showdown value plus plenty of outs if he's behind.
Ooh. Scare card.
Negreanu is ahead with pair of kings, but with two opponents still in, a straight is now a big concern.
I'm gonna take a stab. See what that does.
Negreanu bets a little over 50% of the pot. That sizing puts real pressure on both flush and straight draws, making them pay above their pot odds to see a river. He's protecting his pair of kings while still leaving himself room to fold if the heat comes back to haunt him.
You're the guy who checked queens before in the 10-high flop, so now I'm scared.
River bricks out for Tarhanov's.
Daniel should absolutely be betting this board.
Let's test your knowledge. What do you think Tarhanov should do in this position?
Call, because you're Negreanu.
I have a king. Oh, this is fun. I love having fun playing poker.
Phil Hellmuth is looking down on pocket nines. He is mostly up against celebrities, but even in those situations, people find ways to make him tilt, and Mr. Beast won't be an exception.
Now he picks up the hand that won him his first World Series of Poker main event.
As we could have all expected, having amateurs on the table doesn't make things go fast. And people are more likely to play with random hands, as we can see by the many limpers. Slime takes things into his own hands, though, and raises to $2,400. That gets snap called by Mr. Beast, and after some weird shenanigans from XQC, 3 betted by him with ace-deuce offsuit.
Mr. Beast with 150 in front of him, so...
$3 million retail, like 450 in inventory. The what? What? I just told the story like 3 times.
He lost a shit ton of money by tweeting out, I'm going to give people free chocolate who like this tweet.
Oh, yeah.
Now we can observe XQC looking for the jack somewhere below the table, but as he can't find it, he decides to check, which is followed by a unison check around the table until Mr. Beast does this.
Well, you're right, 10.
10,000. I don't know what Mr. Beast has, but based on what else everybody else has.
Let me know in the comments, what is your guess for Mr. Beast's cards?
Phil's going to call anyway with 9s. Not a believer.
The turn brings the 8 of diamonds, which I don't really know how to feel about. Not knowing Mr. Beast's cards, he might have a straight or a flush draw, and I bet Phil Hellmuth is getting more and more heated with those pocket 9s. After you see Phil Hellmuth's blow up, make sure to rate it in the comments from 1 to 10 of how crazy it was on the Brat scale.
He has probably something good, and he wants me to bet. But I kind of want him to bet as well, so it's fine.
What's your call and you bet?
25.
Do you make 2 pair? 10-3?
All right, I call. Okay. I mean, I have a queen, so you probably have a king.
You got a queen? You got me.
Yeah.
Queen of hearts, 5 of hearts. It's like impossible that I could ever be losing in this game. The man just bet a queen.
You do this for a living?
I called 5,000 under the fucking gun. I got to have 9s or above, and he bet a queen 5 for value on the river.
Phil Hellmuth is looking down at ace-jack offsuit. He is raised to $2,000, but he's up against Harlow with pocket 8s. And Tony G, he's lurking, and he's not planning to stay quiet for long.
Action begins on Phil, ace-jack, raised to 2,000. Pocket pair for Russ.
Pot.
Raises to 7,200.
Harlow is the loose cannon in this game, which means he's an amateur who's been given $100,000 to play against 5 pros. Whatever he makes over $100,000, he gets to keep. Meanwhile, Tony G folded, but this is not the last time we see and hear of him this hand.
How much more you have?
Hellmuth is fishing for information, trying to get a read on the delivery driver. Every second Harlow spends fumbling with his chips gives Phil little clues about how strong he really feels.
Phil calls and gives him the WWE stare down. Hellmuth off the top rope. The flop, 10-6 deuce, 3 clubs, Hellmuth checks the nut flush draw.
Harlow's ahead for now, but Phil's sitting there with 2 overcards, a nut flush draw, and about 27 different ways to ruin this man's whole poker career. If Harlow fires a bet here, things could get messy fast, because Hellmuth is definitely not folding this one soon. But Harlow decides to check it back to him.
The turn gives Russ a set. Hellmuth, chips in hand, leads out to 5,500.
Gotta take a chance sometime.
I'm supposed to think you're weak, right? Because you're talking?
I won't bet more than 9,000 on the river if you call.
I'm all in.
Russ Harlow, all in.
Hellmuth throws out a little feeler bet, just trying to stir the pot. But Harlow responds by setting the whole kitchen on fire. This is actually an incredible read from the delivery driver against arguably the best poker player of all time. Now Phil's got to decide if that nut flush draw is enough to pull him out of the flames, or if he's about to get roasted. He thinks for about 5 minutes and Tony G is starting to lose his patience.
So you potted it before the flop.
It's ridiculous.
What's ridiculous?
I mean, just make a decision, you know? Like, there's other people in the game, too. You're a professional player playing against a loose cannon. I mean...
Now I'm trying to make a decision for 43,000. Can you just shut the up? Call
You're
a
a
floor
professional
man.
player.
Call floor man.
You're insulting everyone. I mean, we're here, we want to play, too.
He's completely out of line here. So I
think he's completely out of line because he's been taking forever to make a decision. Against an amateur player coming in here as the best player in the world, taking 15 minutes to make a decision.
I haven't taken 15 minutes. You want to bet on that?
Well, you will.
You're
that's
so
why
out of
I'm
line.
talking about
You know,
it.
your etiquette's horrible. Stay out of this.
Gentlemen,
Stay out. Let's hear your ruling.
We're going to put you on the clock right now. You got a minute and 10 seconds.
That's your ruling?
Right.
I hope you're proud of yourself, Tony.
Story checks out.
Phil folds. Those are tears of joy.
Hellmuth kicks things off with pocket deuce. This is a hand that only someone as wild as Phil Hellmuth can play when faced with a raise. Little does he know, his aggression will end up making him mad once again.
You were like drawing dead.
Right after making the call, Hellmuth plays one of his special cards. Complete shithousery. He directly calls out his opponent for drawing dead and bluffing him. Let's see if it will work out. Perkins completely unbothered by Hellmuth's antics calls with 8-4 suited. I guess these must be his lucky numbers, or else I don't see a reason why he would go 3-way with these cards. The flop is here, and oh boy, does it deliver some drama. We have 5 with 2 jacks. Now it can be anyone's game. Let's see what Hellmuth will do here. With Perkins and Williams both showing weakness with their checks, Hellmuth will want to take control of the pot. To do that, he instantly fires a bet for $4,000. Perkins with his 8-4 suited didn't have to think too long about what to do next, and does what every one of us would do in this spot and folds. Williams, on the other hand, didn't think at all. He snap-called the bet as if he is holding the nuts and is just waiting for Hellmuth to bloat the pot some more. The turn delivers a queen of clubs, which makes things even more interesting. Now Williams has an open-ended straight draw and is looking stronger than ever in this hand. Even though the turn improved his hand, Williams still decides to check in order to see how Hellmuth will play it out first. And that's exactly what Hellmuth was waiting for. After no more than a few seconds of thinking, he fires another 4,000 bet, trying to pressure Williams out of seeing the river. For better or for worse, Williams almost snap calls the bet, which means he either thinks Hellmuth has nothing or is just feeling super lucky.
Even a 5 or a queen can counterfeit Phil's hand.
The turn delivers a king, which completely shifts the game, and Williams is now in the lead. Make sure to watch until the end to see Hellmuth going crazy after the showdown.
King.
Here it comes. That's the ejector seat straight out of Goldfinger. Yums.
You're just not believable anymore, okay? Stop.
Hellmuth kicks things off with pocket kings. He was getting a bad beat after bad beat on this table. So now his fortunes seem to be turning around.
Hellmuth with kings now? Well, he's lipped it a bunch. Let's see if he keeps it balanced.
Hey, come on, just
No,
min-raise
he's
it.
gonna raise
Oh
it.
my God,
Raise it up to
why?
8.
After 3 folds, we reach Hellmuth with his king 4 suited. It must be his lucky hand or something, because he will call Hellmuth's bet. Unfortunately for him, though, Stanley, who is looking down on these juicy queens, is going to.
Raise it. 5,200.
There's the 3-bet. Just a call from Phil. No 4-bet. Getting the other people out. That's going to bring Keating in, I'm sure it does.
Hellmuth is probably silently screaming from happiness on the inside. This 3-bet is perfect for him, and he snap calls it. The real question is, why would Keating and Chamath pay this steep price with such marginal hands? But that, I will leave to you, the viewer. The flop comes 8-7-8 rainbow. It might not be perfect because sometimes pair of 7s or 8s gets through this 3-bet to see the flop. But Hellmuth should be reasonably happy with how it turned out for now. Stanley bets $5,000 again, and this time out, only Hellmuth will make the call, with Keating and Chamath finally taking the smart and right option of folding those weak hands.
And the queen on the turn! Oh, we're gonna see some steam.
Gentlemen, I can officially attest to the fact that Hellmuth is probably the unluckiest player I have ever seen. This queen is about to wipe the calmness off of Hellmuth's face. The only question left is, will Choi play it so he extracts maximum value plus a bonus of Hellmuth's rage at the end?
That 21.
All right, 21,000.
Wow. I have a bad feeling you have me, but I have an overpair.
Yep.
Come on, this motherfucking goddamn fucking queen.
What's that? What's that?
Ah!
Selps kicks things off with 8-7 suited. This is a hand that can be extremely powerful if the flop falls just right. So currently with McClung on the raise, she is just calling in order to see the pot as cheaply as possible. Herrings and Sanchez both limp call and pray for a good flop. Let's see what the dealer has in store for them.
10-9-6. What a flop! A straight flush draw for Vanessa Selbst and a set of 6s for Chris McClung.
With this type of flop, it will be a full-on battle of stacks. Vanessa with the straight on the flop and a potential straight flush is in prime position to extract value from the guys that think they have something to play for. And McClung with his set of 6s does exactly that. He bets more than $1,000, inflating the pot for Selbst.
Herring also flopped pretty huge, like his arms.
After this attempt at humor, Selbst and Herring limp into the turn, and Sanchez folds, which is kind of disappointing because Selbst could have extracted more value before the turn.
And there is the straight flush for Vanessa Selbst.
Now that Selbst has the straight flush, she is unbeatable and is begging that somebody raises. But unfortunately for her, I don't know if they read her or it was pure luck. Both McClung and Herring check, which Selbst then follows. The river delivers the 10 of clubs, which is the perfect card to bait McClung into thinking that having a full house is somehow the strongest hand on the table, which he 100% falls for and bets $4,000. He doesn't want anyone who isn't committed to the hand to be playing it. Selbst takes her sweet time in deciding what to do, which is understandable. When you know you have the best hand on the board, you have the tough decision to make on what size raise do you make to extract maximum value.
She moves all in. Herring folds, decision on McClung.
Herring understandably folds this wild all-in raise from Selbst, but I am wondering whether McClung will take the bait with this full house that he has.
It is bottom full house. Maybe he gets away.
I call.
No, he calls.
Moneymaker opens under the gun with pocket 7s. That's right on the margin, but deep stacked it works.
Ace-king for Chris Oliver. Blimey, he's got a legitimate hand. Something we normally don't see.
Oliver, 2 seats over, 3 bets with ace-king offsuit. Against an early position open, that's completely standard. Ace-king is at the top of the non-pair range, and 3 betting applies pressure. Already you can see how the ranges are shaping up. Oliver is more top-heavy, Moneymaker is more board-connected. When Moneymaker makes the call, his range keeps all the pocket pairs and suited connectors that play well on dynamic textures.
What you got, Chris?
What's up?
What you playing?
1.5.
This is a board that heavily favors Moneymaker's calling range. He can realistically have straights, sets, and strong suited connectors. Oliver, by contrast, doesn't connect as often. His 3-bet range is weighted toward big pairs and overcards. Moneymaker checks first, which is standard, and Oliver wisely checks back. Bluffing ace-king here would just burn chips because UTG simply has too much coverage on this texture. The paired 10 is interesting. On the surface, it should help Oliver, because as the 3-better, he can credibly represent trip 10s or even full houses. But in practice, Moneymaker still holds more straights and continues to own range advantage. When Moneymaker now leads 170K, it's a smart choice. He denies equity to ace-highs and clubs, and he's telling a believable story of strength. Oliver makes the call with ace-king, but this is a thin float.
Ace-king looks pretty pre-flop, but on this turn, it's ugly enough to give Freddy Krueger nightmares.
The river completes everything: straights, flushes, full houses. Moneymaker checks, which is a clever trap. After leading the turn, this invites Oliver to take a stab. Oliver obliges, betting 200k, trying to represent the very monsters that just got there. But here's the problem. After checking the flop, his line doesn't realistically contain full houses, and without a club, ace-king is one of the worst bluff candidates.
Are you going to show me if I fold?
Anytime you ask, I'll show you. Chris Moneymaker.
Moneymaker sees right through it and springs the trap with a check raise to 450k. Oliver can't credibly continue.
And Chris Oliver forced to fold ace high.
Doug Polk kicks things off with Jack-9 suited, a hand that can pop off real hard if the flop comes just right. Doug has already 3-bet his opponent raise, trying to portray strength. As he is calling, I am inclined to tell you that Owen, the guy with the pocket tens, is an amateur, and I think this is his first professional table. Imagine playing versus one of the biggest names in the game on your first table.
Doug hits 2 pair on this flop.
Owen's got some escape hatches, though, in the form of an 8 for a straight or, of course, a 10.
After the flop delivers a 2 pair for Doug Polk, I am starting to worry about our friend Owen here. He is indeed holding a good pair and has an open-ended straight flush draw, but Doug is currently holding the nuts and is looking to apply pressure with another $4,000 bet. Our amateur has a big decision to make, so he naturally takes his time, but ends up calling. I bet he is feeling the straight on the river.
How much do you have behind here? It's like 23, 43, 50? 50?
Oh my goodness.
Nice turn card for Owen. Not only does he have the straight, he's got straight flush redraw.
With the straight on the turn, Owen now takes 35 seconds to decide that he wants to bet more than half the pot for $10,000. But don't worry, I have sped it up for you.
Owen goes for a 2/3 pot bet. Sets up a nice-sized river shove, should he get called.
After the amateur bet, Doug's call was almost like a snap call compared to how long they're taking to decide this game.
Doug's not going to go anywhere. 2-pair just yet. And there's the straight flush.
Wow. All in.
Owen does go all in.
Really brutal.
But if Owen taking so long to decide wasn't enough, Doug Polk contemplated the laws of the universe for a minute and a half before making his decision. But once again, I have sped up to his decision. Let's check it out.
Queen X of diamonds. I have so many hearts, though.
Doug is just trying to think of hands that he beats.
I don't like this one bit. I don't like this one bit.
Yeah, maybe Owen has king, queen of diamonds exactly.
$383,000 pot.
Ryan is looking down on ace-deuce suited. He got involved in a few bad beats that night, but little does he know the worst is yet to come. Nick airball takes the button and turns pre-flop into a leverage spot built on position and blockers. His small 3-bet keeps his range wide and the stacks deep, daring the blinds to define themselves out of position. Ryan answers with a chunky 4-bet from the blind, the classic polarized blend of premiums and suited wheel aces that block 5-bet value. Nick's 5-bet to 33k is deliberately petite and keeps everything playable. That sizing telegraphs polarization 2 hands happy to shovel later, and a few suited high-card bluffs that block premium combos and still see flops well. King 9 suited is exactly that kind of wolf in sheep's clothing. It removes King X from Ryan, plays clean on Broadway boards, and retains disguised equity on monotone textures. Ryan's call with ace-2 suited preserves his 4-bet bluffs and defends his story, but it consigns him to the worst seat in a 5-bet pot and leaves him short on nuttiness unless he specifically shows up with the ace of hearts.
68,000 almost already in the middle.
The flop is a monotone Broadway dream for the button, and Nick has the dream within the dream king of hearts and 9 of hearts for the straight flush. On these boards, the 5-better naturally owns the suited high card advantage, so his small continuation bet works on every level. It pressures ace-high and medium pairs. It denies a cheap look to hands with a single heart, and it looks perfectly routine whether he's bluffing or holding the nuts. Ryan's call keeps his range wide but already shaky. With ace-2 of diamonds, he has no flush equity, no pair, and no blocker to the nut region Nick actually represents. He's floating almost entirely on the belief that later aggression will fold out hands like red queens or a single king of hearts. The problem is structural. Without the ace of hearts in his hand, his story is missing its cornerstone. Every call he makes builds a pot he'll be forced to bluff later with nothing to lean on. The turn is a blank for Ryan's real hand and a test of discipline. When Nick bets again for 26K, it's the kind of second barrel that keeps pressure on weak pairs and teases calls from single heart holdings. While we wait for Ryan's decision, I would be very grateful if you hit the like button. It helps out a lot. Thank you.
What is Ryan doing? He raises.
Ryan turns to the only weapon he has and check raises to 80K. On paper, it's a move that can make sense. A blind who 4-bet pre and check the flop can credibly represent slow-played ace-high flushes or overpairs containing a big heart. The trouble is combinatorics. Against Nick's 5-bet range full of king-high and ace-high suited broadways, you need the ace of hearts or king of hearts in hand to strip value from his continuing region. Without it, you're bluffing into a range that simply doesn't fold.
You can see Ryan rolling his eyes at himself.
Nick's decision to flat rather than jam is the final layer of control. It keeps Ryan's bluffs alive, invites another shove from weaker value, and guarantees a river spot where his straight flush is untouchable.
All in. All in.
And Ryan shoves.
You win.
And loses a $383,000 pot.
Ah, what a stupid
wow.
Ronaldo is looking down on Queen 9 offsuit. Sam opens to 25K with the deuces because pairs from early position play clean and he can represent a lot of high card boards later. Ronaldo flat calls with Queen 9 and takes position. Against an UTG range, this is thin but serviceable.
This is one of the highlights of my poker career.
The flop is a dream for Sam. From early position, he owns tons of ace-x and is supposed to c-bet this texture at a high frequency, so declining the bet removes aces from his perceived range and caps him in Ronaldo's eyes. With quads, there is no equity to protect and no need to deny cards, so the value is in deception. The check also invites Ronaldo to bet turns very liberally, either for thin value with a pair or as a stab into apparent weakness. The queen on the turn does exactly that. Ronaldo improves and leads for value and protection, targeting exactly the hands Sam just represented by checking small pairs, king-high floats, and random broadways that will fold. Sam's call keeps the narrative intact and maximizes the number of river bets he collects. A raise would narrow Ronaldo's range to strong queens and few better hands while killing the bluffs that the flop check induced. The river 9 upgrades Ronaldo to 2-pair and introduces the value card incentive. Once he places the value card, folding to a raise sends him to the cage and costs an orbit, so his threshold to call rises dramatically. He bets again, believing he is extracting from the very capped range Sam created on the flop. Ace highs that peeled turn, worse queens, and curious 1-pair hands that will pay. From a technical standpoint, his combo blocks some of Sam's potential 2-pair calls like ace-queen and ace-9, which should make him more cautious against a raise, but the show format pushes him in the opposite direction.
Come join me, Sam. Pretty cozy over here.
Sam chooses a raise that looks bluff capable. It is large enough to feel like a challenge, yet small enough that a proud value card bettor convinces himself to look him up. The sizing also mirrors a common live bluff pattern, raise smaller than pot, as if trying to buy it rather than extract. Because Sam checked the flop and only called the turn, his range appears light on full houses and heavy on missed floats. In a normal game, that perception might get him some folds from 2-pair, but here the rule skews the decision.
Call.
He does call.
Wow. Sorry. Just didn't want to slow roll Ronaldo. Right?
Malik is looking down on pocket 4s. He limp calls the small blind to keep the pot cheap, hide his strength, and tempt the big blind to isolate wider than normal. Reichenstein does exactly that with Queen 6 offsuit.
1.2? 1.4, wow. 1.4, okay.
Yuri may end up regretting telling Sebastian to have fun.
Malik's banter here is not small talk. It's deliberate downplay to make his range look weak and to encourage future barrels. On an ace-high 2-heart flop, the raiser is supposed to bet at a high frequency, so Reichenstein's c-bet is automatic. Malik just calls. Raising a set here would shut down bluffs and fold out a ton of hands that are willing to keep paying. The flat keeps his range looking like weak aces, small pairs, and heart draws. It also preserves the initiative narrative on Reichenstein's side, which is exactly what you want when you're trapping. The turn brings the 10 of spades, a card that's better for the better story than for the callers. It adds overcard pressure to Malik's perceived ace-rag or pocket pair range and gives Reichenstein clean justification to keep firing with value and withdraws. Malik calls again. He isn't worried about protection. He wants the widest possible river betting range. Calling maintains the illusion that he's hanging on with a marginal 1-pair hand or a busted draw and invites a big third barrel.
Mallets improves to quads.
Oh, wow, just quads.
The river is the 4 of diamonds and it detonates the trap. Malik upgrades from a set to quads at the exact moment his opponent is most committed to the bluff. From Reichenstein's chair, this is a perfect shove card with value and a great scare card for bluffs. Many weak aces should fold to maximum pressure and missed hearts are everywhere. He chooses a large bet to blast those hands out. The problem is credibility and blockers. Queen 6 with no heart blocks, nothing that matters. It doesn't remove Malik's full houses, quads, or even the strong ace-x that will call. Meanwhile, Malik's line of call arrives at the river with almost no natural bluffs and a ton of slow-played value.
He shoves.
When he moves all in, he's perfectly polarized and his story is airtight. He let the big blind tell the tale on every street, then revealed the ending.
He folds.
Jennifer Tilly kicks things off with a pair of fives. But she's up against Hashem with ace-king offsuit, who is raised to $2,500 in this crazy poker cash game.
Daniel's out. Tilly, pocket fives. Should be an easy call. She does.
Surprise is one time, Ken, and just put the 3-bet in.
It'll happen.
Surprise
Not with those cards.
Are you feeling the peer pressure right now?
You can't think of it like that. You have to think that $800 bought you goodwill at the table and possibly an invitation to be invited back. Because, you know, these guys love when you straddle.
The flop comes 5 king 7 rainbow. Jennifer hits the set and Joe Hashem just made top pair top kicker. And if you know poker, you know that's the kind of hand that makes grown men hand over their chips with a smile and then cry in the parking lot.
Tilly donks it for 3K. Poor Joe Hashem, this is just not his week.
Poker isn't about what you have. It's about what you represent. And right now, Joe's call caps his range. He's telling Jennifer he doesn't have 2-pair. He doesn't have a set. He's sitting on a 1-pair hand, hoping to keep the pot low.
5 of clubs, quads for Jen. This is the second time Joe's been up against quads this week.
Tilly is holding the bangers. But notice, no fast plays, not even a bet. She's hoping he has caught something to hold on to while she tries to slowly squeeze him off.
Joe could easily think he's ahead. Obviously he does. He bets 6,500.
Everyone at the table thinks she's the playful actress who overplays marginal hands. But right now, she's successfully turning that persona into pure profit. And Hashem, like most men would, falls for her trap.
Jen min raises to 13K. By making it the smallest raise possible, she's given herself a good shot at getting called. And Joe does make the call. Jen's got quads and she's got herself a customer. Ace of diamonds, 2-pair for Joe. That is not a good card for him.
20,000.
That's 20K.
I call.
And Joe calls.
I call, Jen.
You call?
4 of a kind again.
Am I the king of quads today or what?
Joe can't believe it.
Really?
Bendinelli kicks things off with pocket 8s. This is a hand that can be extremely powerful, especially in a heads-up match. With 7 million already in the pot, Bendinelli can extract a lot more value.
Oh boy, we got a set of 8s for Bendinelli.
Oh no.
Top pair for Guerrero.
With Guerrero's weak check, Bendinelli can now completely take over the pot. The only question is how big of a bet he makes. So Guerrero stays and makes the pot bigger. Bendinelli is not looking to let Guerrero see a cheap flop and fires a 2.5 million bet. That is almost a third of the pot. But with the top pair on the flop, Guerrero is not looking as if he will back down. He doesn't disappoint and calls Bendinelli's bet. This pot is getting enormous.
Turn is a
Oh,
jack.
wow.
Oh, no.
What a setup.
Oh, such a cold deck.
Cold deck city. Guerrero covered.
With an insane amount of luck, Guerrero pulls a third jack that completes his jack trips. This completely turns the game on its head, but only in Guerrero's head. Bendinelli is now sitting comfortable on a full house and is looking to extract even more value. Bendinelli is completely aware of how strong of a position he now finds himself in. That's why he fires a $5.5 million bet that is there to prevent weaker hands from playing for the river and maybe dissuade stronger opponents with weak mental game. But fortunately for Bendinelli this time around, Guerrero is anything but a poker player with weak mental game. He is completely unaware of the kind of trap he is walking in and confidently calls the enormous bet from Bendinelli.
River.
Oh
the
my
board pairs, but it's the 8. It's quad
No.
8 for Bendinelli.
Wow.
This is unbelievable. This is the coldest of decks. It doesn't get any colder than this, Maria.
I'm glad you got a sweatshirt for this hand, Nick.
Insane.
The turn delivers another 8, which completes the quads for Bendinelli, which I can't believe I am saying again in this video, but is even luckier than Guerrero's jack. Now Guerrero is first on the move. He has a big choice ahead of himself, and I am starting to believe, based on his previous ones, that he will make the wrong one. And the wrong one he does. He fires a slightly smaller bet of $3.8 million, which looks completely abysmal from where we are sitting. I can't think of a reason he would commit so hard to such a weak hand other than a bad earlier read. Bendinelli with his quads doesn't really have anything to think about, other than baiting Guerrero and paying even more on this disaster of a hand. What do you think? Will he bet half the pot, or will he go crazy and shove all in? Let me know in the comments.
Put this to bed. Announces all in. Guerrero hasn't snap called. There's just no way. There's the call from Guerrero. It's over.
Keating's looking down on ace-queen offsuit. Peter comes along with ace-7 suited, a hand that plays fine multi-way but is easily dominated by Keating's calling range. Stanley takes the button with Jack-10, a classic position hand that realizes equity well against 3 opponents. Keating flats pre-flop with ace-queen from the small blind instead of squeezing. Out of position and deep, that call invites dominated aces and worse queens to continue while avoiding a bloated pot against a raiser who can 4-bet. The flop favors ranges that arrived by calling. Keating's ace-queen makes second pair with the best kicker and holds the key blocker to Broadway. His call versus the c-bet is standard. Raising turns his hand into a bluff catcher against stronger kings and sets while isolating himself versus better. Peter's call with ace-7 is thin but defensible. He has bottom pair, an overcard, and backdoor hearts, and he wants to keep his range uncapped for later streets. Stanley's call with Jack-10 is mandatory. He has the best improvement potential with the open-ender and position. The turn ace changes the incentive structure completely. Keating now holds aces and queens, and, out of position in a multi-way pot, checking is superior. Betting announces strength, repels worse, and makes it easy for a better ace like ace-king to play perfectly against him. By checking, he allows weaker aces and floats to fire or showdown worse. Peter quietly improves to 2-pair, and he should notice how clean his value targets are. Aces that didn't connect with the king or queen, plus stubborn kings that hate folding. But checking has logic too. He controls the pot and traffic and preserves bluffs for the river. Stanley's check is the costly one. With Jack-10, he owns the nuts on a paired board that still grants him clear value from top pairs and combo draws. Letting it check through surrenders value and protection, and it exposes him to exactly what happens next. The board pairs again, and his straight gets stone dead. The river double pairs the ace and reorders the hierarchy. Keating upgrades to aces full of queens, Peter lands on aces full of 7s, and Stanley is drawing thin to chatter.
And this is going to get very nasty for Peter. Maybe Stanley also, but especially Peter.
Checks from Keating and the original raiser are invitations. Peter accepts with a big bet that targets trip aces and missed draws and tries to dodge raises from the few better full houses. Stanley correctly folds once the ace pairs again, straights are dust. Keating's river decision should lean exploitative here. Against Peter, who routinely overplays strong 1-pair and boat combos, a value raise prince. Keating's hand is under-repped. He blocks the most common equal boat with the queen. Peter's turn check makes ace-king less likely, and Texas Mike is capped after check-check.
Did he just call? He just called.
Brittany is looking down at 8-6 offsuit. She and these 7 bad boys have all limped pre-flop. The flop comes 6-3-8 rainbow. And just like that, Brittany's 8-6 off turns into a sleeper hit. 2-pair on a board that's dry but sneaky. With all these limpers, someone could easily be chasing a straight. Peter leads out for $500 with top pair top kicker, but Brittany bumps it to $2,200 with top 2-pair. And suddenly, this hand goes from a stroll to a sprint. Dr. H says no more discounts and ships it for his all-in, which is just $3,700. With just middle pair and backdoor draws in an 8-way pot, it's a very bold move, especially into a raise and a bet. Kind of feels like a tilt play, to be honest.
Please call. All right, I take it back. Now you can raise. You cannot raise. Just barely.
No one raises to Dr. H's all-in, which suggests everyone is sitting on some kind of draw. The 8 of spades hits the turn, and suddenly, this table turns into a minefield. Brittany's rocking the full house, 8s over 6s. But Mike X just quietly leveled up with 3s full of 8s. 2 full houses on the same board, and neither one knows they're in a slow-motion car crash.
River will be an 8.
Peter checks. probably thinking he's still ahead with trip 8s. But what he doesn't know is that he's not just behind. He's in 3rd place on his own highlight reel. Everyone looks relaxed on the outside, but this turn card just started a quiet war. Mike X checks and attempts to slow play a full house, not knowing the innocent girl next to him is holding a stronger full house. She bets $5,000, hoping Peter and Mike X have exactly what they have. Peter just calls, taking his time and hoping to gather some extra clues from Mike X's next move. He's not ready to commit fully yet, but he's definitely keeping his eyes peeled. Mike X is counting his chips, calculating the value of that full house. Then, with a deep breath, he raises to $15,000, thinking it's a value bet. But Brittany isn't backing down. In an instant, she fires back with an all-in for $25,000. Peter takes a long pause. After about 3 minutes of intense thought, he finally folds his trip 8s, recognizing that his hand just isn't good enough. It's a tough fold, but it is the right one. Mike X calls and Brittany quickly flips over her cards, showing him the nasty cooler. Now, it's all up to the river.
Twice we've seen people go broke in limp pots.
Tom Dwan is looking down on pocket 7s, but he's up against Doug Polk, who's raised to $3,000 with 5-4 suited. 99% of players would just fold with Doug Polk's cards here, but at a cash game of these stakes, the players are mostly playing the players, not the cards. It's a semi-bluff. He's hoping he can steal the pot uncontested. Tom Dwan raises more than 2 times to pot. This is a classic squeeze spot, punishing Doug Polk's wide cutoff open by denying him the cheap positional advantage and forcing him to commit big if he wants to dance. Doug Polk definitely knows he's a big underdog against a small blind 3-bet range. The call here is less about hand strength and more about trying to outplay Tom Dwan post-flop, using position to create fold equity.
Doug Polk opening the suited connector in the cutoff. Tom Dwan puts in the 3-bet from the small blind and flops middle sets. 31,000 in the middle.
In 3-bet pots, the pre-flop aggressor usually controls the story, and this board gives Tom all the credibility in the world. Doug's range has a lot of air here, so Tom can lean into that advantage and apply maximum pressure, knowing position alone won't save Doug if the bets start piling up.
Doug Polk is going to float.
I don't know why, but I thought Warren just said all in for a second, and I was like, whoa.
Needs running cards to make a hand.
The 6 of hearts on the turn gives Doug Polk an open-ended straight draw, and knowing his maniac style of playing, it could cost him a lot of money.
Could win on the river with an 8 or a 3.
Tilt software, let's get this shit going.
This seems to be
Another half pot bet.
115.
And Doug's going to raise.
By inflating the pot here, Doug Polk is putting maximum pressure on Dwan's range and setting up the possibility to shove the river whether he hits or not.
I call. Interesting.
Battling.
Tom Dwan knows Doug loves bluffing, so he checks to trap him.
420.
What are we doing?
You win.
I know I win, probably.
Uh-oh.
Doug Polk is looking down at pocket aces, but he's up against LSG Hank, who's raised to $6,000 with ace-jack suited. From the small blind, players are often expected to 3-bet to protect their position. That dynamic makes Polk's aces even more dangerous because they don't look as strong as they are. That kind of 3-bet sizing almost looks like he's trying to scare Hank off the hand rather than invite action. But that's exactly the beauty of it. Polk wants to trick Hank into thinking it's just an attempt to steal the pot, when really Doug is just setting the trap. The suited ace and being in position here gives Hank just enough to justify seeing a flop. This is about as good a flop as Polk could hope for. In a 3-bet pot like this, Hank's range is weighted towards suited broadways and pocket pairs. That means the only real hand Polk has to worry about is pocket queens. Against everything else, his aces are still miles ahead. Polk makes a value bet of around 1/3 of the pot, just small enough to make sure Hank calls even with hands that completely miss the flop.
And he now has the nut flush draw. 111,000 in the middle. Guess how much Doug will bet. It's like a little poker test. See how close you are.
Doug Polk is feeling pretty comfortable with this card on the turn. With the way they played pre-flop, there's no way Hank has 2 pair or a set smaller than queens. I think Doug should bet small again.
81. All right.
I'm telling him he should be using big ante online.
Hank puts in the call. He needs a diamond. Instead, it's the 9 of hearts.
The river changes absolutely nothing here. Do you think Poke should check and just call if Hank bets, or should he bet here and risk getting raised? Let me know down in the comments.
200,000. Beautiful poker.
All in.
All in.
All in, says Hank.
Spade, I fold. Heart, we do it again.
This is amazing.
Fold.
Fold.
Show him.
Fuck!